The relationship between the government and the trade unions, especially when it comes to the NHS, is getting worse, as the Secretary of State is now suing the Royal College of Nursing for harming patients. Yeah, every day, every week, there's some sort of protest or strike. It's like the 70s and 80s all over again. And we know that obviously the government's mismanagement is one reason. At the same time, the trade union leaders who have their own ideological agenda, that's also a different problem. And there's some people in the middle who just want to do virtual signaling, stand outside hospitals, dance and clap with their rainbow flags, claiming that they are very angry about lack of pay rises. And then they say, we demand a 35% pay rise. How are we going to pay for that? I have no idea. But people in the middle, patients, for example, when it comes to the NHS, are being harmed. They are losing their lives every single day because of this debate and this battle between the two sides. The Royal College of Nursing, who continue to call for more strikes, and regardless of how many people actually vote for it or not, these guys, they're not going to stop. Their government are obviously doing their own, they have their own position, and they also don't really know how to negotiate properly, because none of these people are business people. They don't know how to negotiate. Now, the government are going to be taking the unions to court, because their strikes are now completely directly harming the same patients that they claim to protect. So, statement from the Health and Social Care Secretary, Steve Barclay. He said, following a request from NHS employers, I have regretfully provided notice of my intent to pursue legal action to ask the court to declare the Royal College of Nursing's upcoming strike action planned for the 30th of April to the 2nd of May to be unlawful. The government firmly believes in the right to strike, but it is vital that any industrial action is lawful, and I have no choice but to take action. Strike action with no national exemptions agreed, including for emergency and cancer care, will also put patient safety out. Again, on this, I am absolutely on the side of Steve Barclay. I'm not really a supporter of the health secretary or this government, but you have to have these exemptions. The A&Es, emergency covering, and obviously cancer care, they should still be covered. But these guys, they've gone completely militant, and they're going to put everybody at risk. He says, this legal action also seeks to protect nurses who could otherwise be asked to take part in unlawful activity that could in turn put their professional registration at risk and would breach the requirements set out in the Nursing Code of Conduct. The issue is that, of course, taking legal action, taking it to court, we have enough left-wing activist judges and lawyers. I wonder if the verdict is going to be rational, or is it going to be politically motivated? Because the justice system these days is not also as perfect as it could be, let's just say, at best. So, there's a press release from the chief executive of the Royal College of Nursing, saying, responding to the statement from NHS employers on government to decide on a legal challenge to the nursing strike. Pat Collins said, the decision of the NHS not to take this further is the right one, but ministers need to decide whether to silence nurses. Bullying nurses and dragging us through the highest courts would not be a good look for government. It would show utter contempt for nursing staff. We will make the case for the legality of our action in all forums. I get it. They're also frustrated, the nurses, but the Secretary of State is not saying don't do any strike. He's basically saying, can you make sure that the A&Es are covered? And if a cancer patient needs urgent help, just help them. Have a couple of people in there to do it. Don't leave the whole building. That's just common sense. That was always the concession between the state and obviously the public workers who have these jobs, essential public services. There were always exemptions. There were always safeguarding. But at this point, the militant union leaders are brainwashing the staff, saying, well, the government will not give you any pay rise, but that's also a lie, because the government has offered. You might not be happy with the rate, and we could complain about it. We could complain about the lack of funding, absolutely. But we have to come up with a proper plan. The government is wrong. The trade unions are wrong. The woke nurses and doctors are wrong. The issue is you have to change the whole system. The NHS never worked. It's not like people say, well, the NHS is no longer working. It's never worked. It worked for 10 minutes. Back in like the 50s and even up to the early 60s, you could say when it was a safety net, the NHS was supposed to be a safety net, not for the billionaires and millionaires to use it to create a backlog, not for foreign tourists to come here and use it on taxpayers' money. The whole system is like completely flawed. We have to change the whole thing, reform it. You cannot really have any government, even Keir Starmer, came out and admitted that even if he were in government, he couldn't really go with the demands of the trade unions because there's no money. And it's not even just about money, because you can keep throwing money at this bottomless pit. It's going to continue to get wasted. And there are good doctors and nurses who just want to do their jobs, and they have to stay quiet, because if they take one side, the others would completely destroy them. They are being harmed, as well as the patients and the taxpayers. No one's willing to say this because everybody is so tribal. I either have to be on the side of the Secretary of State or on the side of the trade unions. Maybe it's best to be on the side of the people, the actual staff, the actual patients, and the taxpayers. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, this is the latest update for you guys. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.